growing up in my community and my family. They were very strict, and just had a certain expectation of me of just getting married young, starting a family young, and that was basically your fate. Men would ask for your hand in marriage, and then you would have to like consider going on a date with them, and then once you go on a date with them, it's like expected that you get married to them fast. So yeah, I just started a new life. The second I moved to Chicago, a whole new chapter opened up.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Destination Happiness. In today's episode, I am super excited to be joined by the incredible Nastasia, the founder of the Dame Traveller blog, the travel blog that empowers women to solo travel. First of all, thank you for taking the time to join me. For those who don't know, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yes, so my name is Nastasia. I am the founder of Dame Traveller, solo female travel community, and I founded it back in late 2023, early 2024, and I am a photographer, author. Jack of all trades. I do a lot, but that's the gist of it, I would say. Travel photographer and author.
That's quite common as well. If you're in like media and you've got like a creative job, then you kind of do branch out into lots of different things as well. You don't just stick to one avenue. You kind of explore multiple options like photography and then content creation, like videos as well.
Absolutely.
I thought Dame Traveller was a lot older than 2023.
Oh no, not 2023, 2013. Oh my God, I need more coffee.
I was gonna say, I'm sure I found your blog like 2 years ago.
Did I say 2023? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's been a while. I remember actually.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah, we're definitely OGs in the game. I would say.
I remember my first solo trip was at the end of 2021, and solo traveling was never really something that I'd thought too much about, but it was kind of something that I accidentally did because I went on holiday to Italy, and none of my friends were able to come with me, so I ended up just going by myself. And
That's how it works. That's how it starts.
It is how it starts. And when I posted like on my Instagram stories and my feed, and people noticed, they were like, "Oh, Sophie, like, are you by yourself? Like, I've not seen you with anyone." I was like, "Oh, yeah." And then it kind of just like inspired other people, and I got all these conversations started.
And that's amazing.
And thank you. And I remember because I was just doing some more research on other bloggers, and I think you were probably one of the first other solo travel bloggers I found when I kind of discovered what solo traveling was.
It's super niche. Yeah, I think that's why it gained popularity so fast, so early on, because it's super niche. So happy to hear that. That's really cool.
Why does travel play such a huge role in your life?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. So I didn't come from a family of travel. Like we basically growing up, I grew up in a blue collar household, and we would go on trips to like Florida or visit family in Canada, maybe go to California once in a while to visit family there. But I didn't come from a world of travel, but I've just always been a very curious person and always someone who has challenged the norm. And so I moved to Chicago for nursing school in 2008. And I met my, this is how it started. So I was in nursing school, and similar to what you were saying, I wanted to find people to come with me to volunteer in South Africa, in Cape Town. It's always been a dream of mine. So I really wanted to just organize a group, and I was kind of like the leader organizing things. And maybe 5 girls were like curious about it, and they were pumped. They're like, yeah, I want to do it. And then everyone backed out when it was time to like book it. And I was the only one left standing. And I remember sitting in class and just like dreading having to go back to Michigan for holiday break, which was like a month long. So I just sat in class and I'm like, well, I did all the research. I have all like everything laid out. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to book it before I can talk myself out of it. I was 21 years old. I had never traveled solo anywhere. And I booked it. And then so I went through a company called GVI, and they organized everything. So I wasn't completely on my own once I landed, but it was so a really brave thing to do at 21 to travel from Chicago all the way to Cape Town, South Africa with a 24-hour layover in Dubai. And somehow I figured it out and I survived. Yeah, you always figure it out. That's the beauty of it. You're scared in the beginning, but then once you get there, you're like, oh, it's not so bad. I'm a capable adult with a brain. So once I got there, I felt very comfortable, but I was terrified. Like on the way there, I'm like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? This is so scary. But I lived in a house with, I would say like 12 other volunteers, and I was there for about 3 weeks. And we volunteered at an orphanage, and I made so many great friends from all over the world. They were teasing me because I was the only American in the house. They're like, Americans travel? I'm like, yes.
Oh my God, that's funny.
It was so funny because at the time, like now Americans travel more, but it was 2011, this trip, but way, before the blog started. And it was so funny. They were teasing me. So it was a wonderful, eye-opening trip. And then I explored Cape Town, on my own. And it was just so beautiful. I really fell in love with the country. And I flew back, and then I just felt it just instilled this confidence in me, like, wow, if I did that on my own, what else can I do on my own? And travel really does instill that confidence in you. So when I came back to Chicago, I just started going on like little trips on my own, just basically not waiting for anyone and just going.
Wow, that's incredible.
And how did that first trip make you feel? Like from
how anxious you were before you went, and then the newfound confidence that you found within yourself afterwards, like how did that make you feel?
Yeah, it made me feel excited for what's to come. I'm like, okay, well, I want to go here now. I want to go here. I want to go here. And then I met my now ex-husband in 2010. And he travels quite a bit. And so him and I would travel together. And I just remember the feeling of just getting so excited landing in a foreign country and just like immersing myself in the culture and learning as much as I can. And I just wanted more and more of it. It's addicting, and especially in the beginning. Now I've been to 71 countries. Of course, I always am excited to travel, but I remember just that rush of energy in the beginning when it was like, it's so exciting, and you just want to see as much as you can. Yeah.
For sure. I completely agree with you there. And especially the feeling of like when you're on the plane and then the pilot announces the landing, and as soon as the tires hit the tarmac, you're like, right, I'm ready for my new adventure.
Yeah, you've not got any clue what to expect, but all you know is it's going to be exhilarating, and it's going to teach you new things, and you're going to learn new cultures and taste new food as well. I think food. Yeah.
Like looking out the window when you landed in the airport and you have no idea what to expect. All you see is the airport. And then all of these like exciting thoughts pop into your mind, and you're like, what's next? Like what's to come?
Where are your top 3 places to travel and why?
Top 3, I would say Lisbon. Oh, well, first, are you for solo female travel or just in general?
I would say in general.
In general, I mean Italy. I know it's so cliche. Out of all the places I've been, I say Italy because everybody loves it. But obviously, it's popular for a reason, and for me, it holds a special place in my heart because I've had so many memories there, and I've been traveling there every year since 2011 or 12. Sorry, and I don't know. It's just I get a warm, fuzzy feeling every time I go there. The people are so warm. The food is incredible. They're just good at everything, and I just feel like I was born to test life. So Italy's my happy place, and a place I always go back to and rediscover myself and rediscover a new place, a new village, a new corner of Rome, like just a new dish. Just Italy's just very special. So and then I love Portugal, Lisbon, because I feel very safe there as a solo female traveler. It's one of the safest places for solo female travelers, I would say, but also just because it just offers so much beauty, and Lisbon has just a sense of peace. When you walk around Lisbon, even though it's a city, it's just so bright and airy, and the pastels and the feeling you get there and the light. I don't know. Lisbon is just very special to me. I really love it. And then I love, I know you said 3, but I love Argentina and Lebanon as well.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Yeah, I haven't actually been to Lisbon yet. It's on the list. I'm sure you know how big the list is.
I know it's never ending, but Lisbon is great if you want to go by yourself. Like, and it's so easy to navigate. It's really easy to get around. It's very walkable. And it's just a place where you're like, it's one of those places you look around and you're like, should I move here? It's definitely one of those places. Should I move here?
And then from a solo female traveler perspective, where do you think your favorite places would be, or like places that you would recommend?
Yeah, so definitely Italy's really easy to get around because the trains, like you can hop on a train for 30 euro from like Milan to Rome and you'll be there in like 3 hours with a fast train. It's just so easy to navigate. People are pretty warm and friendly, like when you want to ask questions. And I've always felt safe there, but maybe other people have had different experiences. But personally, I always feel comfortable traveling to Italy, and I actually spent 3 months there on my own in November to December in 2018. I just got an Airbnb and just like wanted to know what it felt like to live in Rome. And it really like gave me insight into like what life is like there. So definitely Italy. And as I mentioned, Portugal is very, very safe as well. And also Middle Eastern countries. I know people get very intimidated by Middle Eastern countries, but they're super safe. Like for example, Istanbul, Turkey. I spent 2 months there last year. I felt way safer taking the train, walking around at night, just doing everyday things than I actually ever have in New York City, which is my home, because petty crime is low there. And just crime in general is low. So as a solo female traveler, like walking around Istanbul, I felt pretty safe, honestly. Obviously, I'm always on guard, not because their crime rate is so low. It's such a great place, and it's so easy to navigate, like by ferry. They have a tram, they have a subway. They just have so many ways to get around. And people are pretty welcoming and friendly, and it's an open place. And for the most part, it's obviously divided, but definitely I had an amazing experience in Turkey. I really love it. So I highly recommend for solo female travelers. But so that's why I was saying back to Middle Eastern countries. Of course, depending on which one you go to, but a lot of them, like Jordan, I felt fine. Dubai, like United Arab Emirates has a zero tolerance policy. So when you're there, you're like, you're not going to be a target because people are scared to do anything. So you feel pretty safe there. But yeah, I would say, oh my God, it's so hard. Like sometimes I'm thinking about the world, it's like a blur. Like it's hard to like pinpoint.
All of them, they're all just so great.
It's really interesting that you bring up the Middle Eastern countries, because I find there are a lot of stigmas around those sorts of places. And I think when I bring up potentially going to these countries in the near future, everyone's quick to say, oh no, don't go there, like you need to be careful. And I think the media has a lot to do with that as well.
And I'm Iraq, first generation Iraqi American. My parents were born in Iraq, and I really am proud of the Middle Eastern culture. I love it so much. So I try my best to visit these places, to show the beauty of them, to show like the positive side, which there are so many positive sides to visiting Middle Eastern countries. The people are so warm and kind. But yeah, I feel like, especially over the past few years, I feel like I even have a little bit of a duty just to remind people that, what you see on the media is not what you're going to get. It's not complete war zone, like you're not going to have a bad experience. Every Middle Eastern country I've been to, I've had beautiful experiences.
It's funny how you say you've got a duty, because
that's your background. It's sort of like you want to share that with everyone and kind of just tackle that stigma that it has and just prove to people that it is beautiful and just really show that to people and get more people to travel there and see it for its true beauty.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to Iraq with my mom in October and my aunt, and we're going to go back to the village that she grew up in. So it's going to be a really special trip, and I'm very excited for it.
That's lovely. I did something similar in Hong Kong because I'm second gen Chinese.
Wow.
Yeah.
So cool.
Oh, thank you. But I've always lived in England, well, up until like the recent years. But so my grandparents actually moved from Hong Kong to England. That was in the 60s, and half of my aunties and uncles on my dad's side were born in Hong Kong, and then the other half, my dad included as he's the youngest, was born in England, and then I was born in England too. So I've never actually, up until last month or the month before, I've never actually gone to Hong Kong before. It was my first time, and it was always something that I had dreamt of. So I know exactly what you mean about going back, not just for the traveling element, but to visit your roots and your heritage. And it's just more of a personal trip.
Yes, that's super special. I'm so glad you got to do that. And Hong Kong is such an amazing place. I've been there a couple of times and I love the energy. I know it's like really fast paced and everything, but it's such an exciting place. And there are really calm and quiet places too. I think like Stanley Beach. I don't know if you went there. Yeah, I hope you go back. I mean, it's also so big. Like it's hard to see everything. It's like New York, or like London. But I really love Hong Kong a lot. It's really cool.
Do you think that having the culture that you do, does that make traveling difficult in terms of maybe expectations from family and friends, or is that not so much of an issue?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes, there's a lot of positive sides to the Middle Eastern, culture and growing up in it, but I do not shy away from sharing the downsides as well, because I have experienced, just growing up in my community and my family. They're very strict, and just had a certain expectation of me of just getting married young, starting a family young, and that was basically your fate. And that's the fate of a lot of women. And even though I was born in the US, that was the expectation of me. I'm definitely a black sheep in my community. So ever since I was younger, I would always challenge my family and my friends and my community, asking the important questions like, why does it have to be this way? Why can't I just explore what I want on my own? Why is my path like already paved for me? This can't be right. So I would always question. And then when I turned 20, I started like really questioning things and taking it seriously. And that's when I decided to when I was 21, decided to apply to nursing school in Chicago and start a new life, to get away from that, because the pressure, it's not like arranged marriage where they force you to get married to someone right away. It's expected, and men would ask for your hand in marriage, and then you would have to like consider going on a date with them, and then once you go on a date with them, it's like expected that you get married to them fast or like engaged to them fast, and then you have kids. So like this is all by like age 21, 23. I'm like, this is not for me. So my mom's sister, actually, she was just here in New York, and she kind of took me under her wing and was like, this is I see myself in you, and you have such an amazing life ahead of you, and you're just not going to conform to this. So I moved away. Was challenged with my family. My dad, him and I butt heads a lot about it, but I was financially on my own, and I figured, well, I'm an adult, so I can do this on my own. I'm not tied to anything. So yeah, I just started a new life. The second I moved to Chicago, a whole new chapter opened up. I started a new life. I went to nursing school, graduated, married someone who was actually quarter Chinese, quarter Italian, and then like American mix. So my last name was Wong, actually. His grandpa was from China. Yeah, we met at Starbucks. And then, and of course, my family was like, we were finally getting on better terms. And then I met this guy, and then I married him, and it was like, oh my God. It was just, my family was like, what are we going to do with her? But eventually they were super supportive, like, because all my decisions weren't bad decisions. They were just not things that they wanted for me. Went to nursing school and got married to like a really nice guy in finance, like, but it wasn't the picture that they had for me. But I knew it was one of those things that I was like, okay, I'm going to just do it and ask for forgiveness later, because I know they love me and I know they want me to be happy for me. And I know they're going to come around. It's hard, but and this has been my motto throughout my life. It's like, it's like people are always like, oh, you seem so brave and so fearless. I'm like, no, I've been afraid every single time in every situation, but I did it anyway. And so that's very important, is like, persisting despite fear, and also being careful, but not allowing the fear to consume you where it holds you back.
I think a lot of people do, unfortunately, let fear hold them back,
and they miss out on so many things because of it.
Especially solo travel. It's like a lot of women, I think it's so beautiful when I receive emails and DMs from women saying like, Dame Traveler inspired me to take that first step, to take that first trip, even if it's starting small. your blog inspired me to just go for it, because I read all the stories of women who have done it and they've overcome, really difficult things. And I do not shy away from letting people know that I do realize as a woman, we are a target when we travel solo. So I definitely share the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I'm just honest. I think it's important to be honest about these things so women can learn from each other.
It's like a snowball effect, because the first person that you inspire to take the first step, then they might spread the word and talk about it, and then more people join, and then eventually you've got this whole network of people that you've inspired to take this leap. And then you take a step back and you look at them all, like, wow, like, did I really help all these people take their first step out of their comfort zone, and then eventually just experiencing life in a completely new way? And that's all down to you.
It is such a beautiful way of putting things. And sometimes I always think about my why, and that is my why. Like every time I get discouraged, Instagram pisses me off or something, because it's so stressful these days, adapting to all the changes and all the stupid trends. I'm like, why can't I just be me and just share my story, and share the stories that I experience, and just do it in my own way. And I do it in my own way, but it is, there's a lot of pressure on Instagram to have something go viral, all this people have such a high engagement. So I'm like, so it's a lot of times I do get discouraged, and I'm like, I just want to quit, and I just want to I don't know, go back to nursing or something. I do have these moments, but then I remember, no, you're doing this for a reason. And I do have a strong why. And my why is to really inspire women and be an example and show all of the great examples of why you should go for it and not allow fear to hold you back. And because so many women have gained so much from the blog and all my, I feel like my hard work hasn't been in vain.
It kind of brings me on to my next question, actually, when you're talking about Instagram and the battles of trying to follow trends, and then maybe things don't go viral and it gets discouraged.
So my question is, how do you balance living in the moment and capturing content?
I'm a very self-aware person. I always have been. So I do realize the damage that social media has done to tourism, and I am indirectly part of that. But because I am aware of that, I try my best to stick to my values and my integrity and just do what I feel is right. And so there are a lot of things that I just won't do because I know that the way people travel these days is very different than the way they used to before, having a cell phone. So for me, being a self-aware person, when I'm traveling for work or, just as a content creator and a creative, seeing something and wanting to take a photo of it. I mean, especially if you're in a beautiful place, you want to take a photo of everything, because you get so excited. But I am careful with that. So I just become more mindful of, if I'm in a really beautiful moment, to put my phone down and to just really take it in, and to be as present as I can. And I love this phrase that I learned when I was younger. It's remember to remember. Because we know that we should be present. We know that we should do the right thing, but we forget, and especially in the moment when you get caught up in creating content and everything. So I always just try to remind myself, remember to pause, to just really take it in, to take a deep breath, do a little meditation. And especially when I'm alone, I definitely I'll be watching a sunset, and I'll get a couple shots in the videos, but then I'll take a deep breath and really take it in and say a little prayer and just be really grateful for the moment. So I think I just turned 36. So I think as I've gotten older, I've become more mindful, and I strive to become more and more mindful. So I think it's just reminding yourself that being present is very important, especially when you're in a special place that you may not ever go back to again. Having the photos, as memories is great, but you truly miss out on the feeling you get when you're fully present, and not distracted by, creating content or trying to get the best shot, and sometimes people take 5,000 photos of the same exact scene, and it's they're all the same photos. So just take a couple and then just hang out and enjoy the moment.
That's really great advice. Do you know what? I think I'm going to take that on board myself as well, actually, because it's something that I personally struggle with, is trying to find a balance between capturing content and living in the moment. Yeah. Because, of course, you want to just live in the moment, but then it's also, it's a bit it's a bit of a downer when you go back to try and look back at your memories and see the photos you took and then you didn't take anything. And then maybe the memories might fade. But if you've got that, it's sort of like a diary digitalized and you can just go back and relive it. So it is definitely a balancing act for sure.
It's a balancing act. And it's hard. It's definitely not saying it's easy. And like I said, I'm 36 and just starting to feel like being more mindful of it. But as far as consuming content, I have become very good at just not falling down like the rabbit hole and just like scrolling and scrolling, like doom scrolling. So now, I mean, obviously I manage so many accounts, so I cannot just doom scroll and just consume content all day. Like I'll create content, I'll check out what my friends are doing, I'll watch a couple cat videos, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done.
My feed is literally cat videos and travel videos too. And I think the algorithm knows me down to the T.
Yeah, I'm like, finally the algorithm has caught on to my real interests. That's literally like my main source of joy these days.
And sometimes as well, I'll go on Instagram and it will serve me some travel content. I'm like, no, I don't want to see this. No, I just want the cat video.
Algorithm, seriously. Get your act together.
That's so funny.
What do you feel is the difference between a traveler and a tourist?
Oh, well, I've become really in love with slow travel, and slow travel can mean a lot of things, you know, maybe, well, now in this time, like a lot of people are working remote. So if you have the opportunity to do that, I mean, go somewhere and hang out for a month and find your favorite coffee shop, your favorite bakery. Like, I feel like when a traveler is genuinely curious about the way people live, how the worlds we live in today is affecting the locals in that destination, really digging deep, observing, taking your time to learn. That's truly, I feel like, what makes a true traveler, is that deep curiosity and genuine curiosity about not just the pretty places, but the people and how they live in this place, you know, and how the world around them affects their day-to-day life. And I think when you slow travel and you take the time to really get to know a place, it really gives you a better picture of what that place is like. And it gives you a deeper meaning when you walk away and when you come home to your experience. But I think a tourist is someone who just wants to check off as many places as they can. You know, you like hear about people, oh, I've traveled to every place in the world, but it's like, how much time did you spend in that place? Like, did you spend 2 nights there? Were you on a layover? Like, it's not about the number. Yeah, like sometimes when I'm bored on the airplane, I'm curious, like how many places I've been, because it's fun to count. But it's not a rat race, you know. It's not like just passing through, grabbing a couple photos and leaving. A true traveler really, really takes the time to go deeper, and it's not just a vacation. It's a full experience, and it shapes your perception of the world, hopefully in a positive light, or just in a light where you take something away from it that you can then contribute to your day-to-day life and come back to your country and be like, hey, we can do this better because I saw this in so-and-so country. So I think it's learning versus just consuming and passing through and just kind of using a place for a photo op.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I know some people who kind of they say, oh, I've been to this place, I've been to that place, and then they just get up a list of things that they did, but like just like a typical TripAdvisor, like top 10 tourist attractions, and that, I don't know why, but it really bugs me when people do that. I'm like, yeah, but did you actually take the time to indulge yourself, and how many locals did you speak to?
Yeah, it's like getting lost in a city, in a new place or a town or a village or something, and just like interacting with the local, even if you don't have the same language, just a genuine smile and like curiosity, and just like even a genuine smile and a nod goes so far, you know, acknowledging the people around you, not just kind of like rushing through and, you know, looking at all like the pretty things and just like ignoring the people around you who live there, and you're walking into their country and you're just kind of like not even acknowledging them, but acknowledging that acknowledgement is so powerful. Just like that powerful nod, like I see you, like kind of, it's almost like a thank you for having me as a guest in your country, in your place, in your village, in your city. Even if we can't speak the same language, it's just like sending that gratitude to them.
It's respectful, yeah. And I think otherwise it can just seem a bit selfish. Like you're there for yourself. You're not there to maybe make a positive impact to that country. You're just there.
No, like how are you contributing? Yeah, like making sure that you're like my money goes to the street artist or like the local street vendor, like a musician that's playing a song. Like I will try to directly give my money to those people because I know it's going in their pocket. But you know, it's also complicated with some countries in the world because you feel like you don't want to give the money to the government, you know, like but you want to go to that country, and it's like, you know, it's double-edged sword. But then if you're able to, you know, help the local economy and the people, then that really helps.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the main part of it too. It's not helping the people who are above, like in the government. It's just actually helping the people that you can see in front of you. And then you can see the difference that it makes to their lives. Like even just a smile on their face, that's enough for me.
I know. Yeah, it's such a beautiful thing. So I think just being aware and not blindly visiting a place and just passing through, I think it's very important.
What are the downsides of traveling that aren't spoken enough, in your opinion?
Oh my God, the jet lag, being squished on an airplane for 15 hours, just like the bumps in the road that are really stressful. Like, for example, I landed in Uzbekistan by myself at like 3 a.m. And then in a foreign country, place that I've like, it's not like I'm landing in Italy, like, oh, I know this place so well, you know, very unexpected, very late flight. Walked into the hotel to check in, and they're like, we don't have a room for you. I'm like, wait, it was booked. What do you mean? They're like, we don't have room for you. So then he's like looking at his computer. He's like, oh, here, never mind. Here's the room. I'm like, okay. He gives me the key. I go up and I open the door and somebody's sleeping. This is terrifying. What if that was me sleeping and someone walked into my room? Like the safety oh my God, my head was spinning. And it's 3 a.m. in Uzbekistan and I'm by myself. Yeah, that was scary, actually. It was funny thinking about it, but I was like, then thankfully the person didn't wake up. So I closed the door, walked down, and I'm like, you gave me a key to someone else's room. So I gave it back to him. And then I just sat in the lobby and I ended up like getting another hotel because I was so exhausted. And by this time, like by this whole ordeal, the sun was coming up.
You're like, oh, do you know what? I don't need a hotel now. I'm just going to go for a coffee.
Yeah, it's like that. Stuff like that is like, oh. But also just being alone and like really looking around and like always feeling like I'm on guard. When I'm with other people, my guard, you know, I'm able to let my guard down a bit. But when I'm by myself, I'm always on alert, no matter where I am. It's just second nature for me. So that can be stressful, like when your body's always like in survival mode.
I was expecting you to say something about like missing your friends and family, but I guess if you're doing like month trips here and there, do you constantly like go back and forth from New York?
Because I've been traveling for so long, like since, I mean, before the pandemic, I was traveling 80% of the time. Now at post-pandemic, I travel like half the time. I think my friends and family are just used to my life. Like this is her job, and she's always out, and I'm used to it too. Of course, I miss them, but like I really spend quality time with them when I do see them. Like I'm very present. I'll get my work done before I see them, so this way I can be fully present with them and hear what's going on in their lives and just really have fun with them. So I think that's why I don't feel like, because I'm not around, I'm alone a lot because I live alone, I travel alone, I work alone, I live in New York City. It's a very lonely place sometimes because I'm not constantly surrounded by friends and family, that I'm not like, oh, I miss them so much. I wish, but I do. I get lonely when I'm on my own and I'm in a really epic place. And I'm like, I wish I could share this with somebody, you know.
I think loneliness as well is maybe something that gets to me sometimes, especially being at the other side of the world from my friends and family, like not even just the distance, but the time zones as well.
Oh, that's hard. Yeah.
Like I'll go to call them, but guess what happened today? And I realize it's 4 a.m. I'm like, oh, I just have to celebrate this one on my own this time. Do you have any advice for someone looking to earn money traveling full time?
Yeah, find your niche, find a strong niche. I know people are afraid that if they have a strong niche, they're thinking, oh, nobody is going to like this, nobody's into it. whatever. But the stronger the niche, the better, because you will find your people that will really resonate with it and are looking, like, for example, you were looking specifically for solo female travel blogs, and maybe there weren't that many out there, and that's why I started Dame Travel, because I was looking for one and I couldn't find one. And I was following like very general travel communities like Travel Leisure, Forbes Travel Guide, like all these, Afar magazine. And then I was like, why don't I just start one? And then I found my people, and now look at it. So really don't be afraid to follow, like, to find something very unique and specific and just go with it. But it's a delicate balance, because a lot of people were like, oh, I like everything, so I want to do lifestyle. And it's like, okay, so like, what are you honing in? Like, you don't have a focus. You're doing fashion, you're doing makeup, you're doing, oh, I'm traveling to Italy. Like, it doesn't make sense. So like, are you the brand, or like, are you just selling yourself? Or are you trying to teach someone something about a specific thing? So keeping in mind how much value you're offering to your audience, and it's not just like showing your lavish life. When you're just doing that, it's like, okay, what's the point? There's enough of that on Instagram. Try as best as you can to A, find your why, and B, provide as much value as you can to your audience. And naturally, it's just going to happen with hard work and like sharpening your skills. But it's a very, like, you have to be fully dedicated. It's not something like you just do on the side. You have to be fully dedicated, and that comes with a lot of sacrifice. There was like years that I didn't make money. Actually, I didn't start really monetizing Dame Travel until 2014. Like late 2014, early 2015. And even then, I wasn't making that much money. I was lowballing myself and not knowing my value. But it comes with time and confidence. The more you partner with brands, and you have to take on free work early on, because you have to build your portfolio. But then once you have enough work where you can show like, hey, this is my product, this is what I did, then you can start charging. Also, patience is another huge thing. You need to be patient. It's not going to happen overnight. And patience is very rare in the world we live in, because everything's so instant. So you're like, why isn't it happening? Why isn't it happening? You're like, because yesterday you thought of this idea. It takes years and really like a lot of dedication and sacrifice. But being mindful of these things, nothing is impossible. You can do it, absolutely. But you need to be dedicated, and you need to be disciplined.
Discipline, dedication, and patience, for sure. Yeah. I think that's really great advice. Okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk with me on my podcast. I hope that it resonates with lots of people. I'm sure it will. Lots of advice and inspiration to others who are thinking of solo travel.
I love talking to you. Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry for all the back and forth. I had such a great time chatting with you, and you're so sweet. If you're ever in New York, let me know. And because you like cats, my home is your home whenever I'm traveling. So you can come cat sit.
I'll definitely come and cat sit for you. Yeah, like an Airbnb, but just for us.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you have a good rest of the day.
Thank you. Get some sleep.
Yeah, I will. All right. See you soon. Bye. Oh my gosh. Oh, that was an incredible talk with Nastasia. I hope you found it as valuable as I did and thoroughly took on board all the advice she had to offer. And yeah, just hearing about those stories of her in Uzbekistan and finding out the raw, real side of traveling, like she said, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Just wow. That was incredible. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, I found that as valuable as you probably have. And I hope you take on board what she says about traveling. You just need to go out and do it. You don't wait for your friends, because 9 times out of 10, they probably won't be coming, even if they say they do. And yeah, just go out and solo travel. And we'll be here to answer any questions you have, maybe calm your anxieties, and definitely go and check out her blog, her Instagram page, because she has a lot of value to offer, and I think it will be really important for you, especially if you're thinking of traveling as a solo female traveler. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next episode.